Canada and Mexico has gotten tremendous reviews, as you see. It's been very well received by farmers and ranchers and industrialists and workers generally, and it's been really something. And I think it's also going to be a very good deal for Mexico, and I believe it's going to be a very good deal for Canada.
That was President Trump touting the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement as he left for Philadelphia to speak to a gathering of electrical contractors. The deal, which has to be approved by lawmakers in all three countries, appears to be good news for dairy farmers in the U.S. who have long complained about access to Canada's dairy market. So I want to take a closer look at this. The U.S. exported nearly $5.5 billion worth of dairy products last year. That adds up to about 15% of total U.S. dairy production. Mexico is the largest market for U.S. dairy products, with more than $1.3 billion in milk, cheese, and other items heading across the southern border last year. Canada is America's third largest dairy export market. Our neighbor to the north imported $636 million in U.S. dairy products last year, while it exported $149 million in dairy products to the United States the same year. So just to be clear, Canada sends fewer dairy products or less value in dairy products to the United States than the other way around, even under NAFTA. Now, under the new deal, American producers would be able to export to Canada the equivalent of 3.6% of Canadian dairy production. 3.6% is up from 3.2% under NAFTA. Anything above that quota, anything above the 3.6%, will be subject to the steep tariffs that President Trump often complained about. Those tariffs can be as high as 314%, but the president always says it's on milk. It's not. It's a highly filtered version of milk that American farmers were in some cases able to get around. The president was right about Canadian tariffs on dairy products. So you look at some of these levels, 240, 245, 270, 270, 292. They're big, but it's after a certain percentage. Those duties were only charged on exports that went above the 3.2%. Now, all of this news comes as the World Dairy Expo, the largest conference of dairy farmers, gets underway in Madison, Wisconsin. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard has been traveling around the country examining the impact of the president's tariffs. He joins us from Madison, where he's had a chance to talk to Wisconsin dairy farmers and Canadian dairy farmers. What's the response you're getting, Vaughn?
Yeah, Ali, this is quite the day for the launch of the World Dairy Expo right here in Madison. There's more than 15,000 dairy farmers here right now, but there's also more than 2,300 cows themselves. I want to bring in two. You laid out the numbers. I want to bring out two farmers themselves. This is Martin. He's actually from British Columbia, Canada. And this is Jim, who's about 3 hours north from here in Green Bay. You have thousands of cows here in operation. Both of these guys are fourth generation, Ali. Would you tell me what your reaction as a U.S. dairy farmer was yesterday, and the impact you expect from it on your operation?
So I think it's a big positive for the states, and to have a free market, to have Mexico available to us, and now part of Canada available to us. But I think the bigger message is that this administration is willing to negotiate, because they didn't go as hard as they could have.
How necessary was this?
It's very, very critical. Our dairy industry is under a tremendous amount of stress. There's a wealth redistribution going on right now, and it's handing over markets to our competitors, foreign countries. So we think it's very welcome news.
I think it's important to note, Ali, that there's 42,000 dairy operations like Jim's in the U.S., but several thousand have closed down in just the last several years for a lot of factors. I also then wanted to come over here because Martin actually drove 42 hours to get here with 8 cattle yourself. You've been coming here for several years.
Correct.
When the news came out yesterday, what were your concerns, and what's your message to Prime Minister Trudeau?
Well, my concerns are we keep giving up our market share. Canada is capable of supplying Canada with its own milk supply. We have a quota system in place so we don't oversupply. It was created to keep Canada from being in the system that the U.S. is in this shape as far as overproduction.
The amount of oversupply of milk currently in the U.S.
It's they figured out a way to make it fair for the farmer, the processor, and the consumer.
And so your concern and your message to Prime Minister Trudeau?
My concern is we keep giving up market share, and we'll probably get a decrease in production, which is financially going to affect my family. It's sad. Like, I grew up in the United States, in the United States system, and my message to Justin Trudeau is the system was created for a reason. We don't have to be like other countries. Milk is overproduced in about every country there is. The countries that taken the supply management away wish they had it back.
Martin, thank you. Jim, thank you. Alec?
All right, Vaughn, thanks very much for your coverage, not just of this, but of the effect that all of these tariffs are having on farmers across the country. Coming up next, Facebook is now trying to save face